Nothing like that.
She said no.
Oh, no. Maybe it's a casual vacation.
My goodness.
What? I'm inappropriate. Oh, I shouldn't be inappropriate when we're considering the employee manual today. And with all the
Okay,
things about harassment, or we're not on.
not yet, but I'm about to.
But we see you.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded. May I have a roll call?
Director Aguilar,
Here.
Topliff,
Here.
Grant,
Here.
Freeman,
Here.
Craig,
Here.
Deschler,
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
All right, thank you.
We're all here. We're all here.
Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders past, present, and future who called this place Anascoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue the tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties and continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. At this point, I'd like to move on to the consent agenda.
I'll move approval of this consent agenda.
All right.
Second.
We have the motion by Topliff and the second by Deschler. Is there any public comment on this motion?
So it's my first time here, but I was wondering if we could have time to like talk about like why is the community center like charging people to reserve the space, because it used to be like free for me because I live in Isla Vista. I'm just like wondering if we could address that, because I'm just trying to understand what's going on. And also another question, but I guess we can talk about that when we have time.
Perfect, yeah. After this motion, we'll go to the public comment period.
Okay,
To be able to
perfect.
raise those concerns.
Cool. Thank you.
Seeing no further public comment on this motion, I'd like to go to a vote. All those who are in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes. Now I'd like to move on to the public comment period. At this time, any member of the public may speak on matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board of directors that are not on the agenda. The board will not take action on any item not on the agenda except as provided by law. Is there any public comment at this time?
Yes, hi. So, my name is Robin. I go by she, her, hers. I created my own major in rhetoric. I graduated like 9 months ago. And I'm also running for Isla Vista Recreation Parks Board. So if y'all like me, feel free to vote for me. I'm pretty flexible with whatever community friendly policy y'all want. But yeah, I originally came here today because I tend to like host like thrift markets. So for like at the community center. And the last thing I hosted was like a community swap meeting for people in the summer from any local Santa Barbara County, Goleta, Isla Vista to come together. And because the venue was free, I was able to, host the event and not charge anyone any fee at all. And it just like, like that should be what it is. Like, I just want people to come together, and like, why should I charge them for just trying to be part of their apartments or like just make money. And then when I was emailing Leslie saying like, hey, yeah, I want to host a thrift market on October 12th, she told me that there's a new policy saying that y'all are charging based on like who you are or like what kind of business you have and things like that. I'm just kind of getting overwhelmed. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why are these fees here? And I appreciate the sliding scale, like that's cool. Like even in my own organizations, like I do a sliding scale because I do want to, accommodate people's circumstances as much as possible. But I'll admit, like this just came like a huge shocker to me because I'm running for Parks Board because people used to be able to sell at the park for free, not worry about permits or any of that. They just show up and we all just like coexist together as a community and just sell. And then as you see like vendors or even just people with their, picnic blankets, like selling clothes from their house, it would just like bring people together and we all just hang out at the park, coexisting. But when the park started like enforcing like a regulation, only people who could reserve the park can be there basically. And then they referred me to y'all to host like free events at IVCSD. Because I'm just trying so hard to like recreate that space I once had, but it just hasn't been the same. And then now there's like these fees out of nowhere. And I'm just like, I don't know how to deal with this. And it's just hard. And like, I was trying to figure out from the little policy, like, okay, how can I figure out this thing is free for me? And then there's like a section about like nonprofit, but I'm not like a registered nonprofit yet, so I'm not eligible for that, for the free sliding scale thing. And I'm just really heartbroken because like I just really came to y'all just to figure out how to provide a community, like a sense of belonging for people without worrying about charging people. Like I'm really trying to provide free or affordable vendor spots as much as possible. And that there's a fee. It's like, oh my God, now I have to worry about my financial circumstances or my vendor circumstances. Like I'm really not greedy. Like I'm not trying to capitalize off of anyone. Like I just want people to belong. And I just want to hear from your perspective, like why these policies are here now. Like, what are y'all going through that you have to make this decision? I'm just trying to understand. I guess I just want to communicate how I'm feeling too.
Unfortunately, we can't discuss things not on our agenda.
Oh,
So
sorry.
it's not on our agenda. It was a month ago when it was approved. But we can meet with you to discuss the details, but in a public board meeting, we can only discuss what's on the agenda.
Okay. Sorry, it's my first time here.
Okay.
It can be confusing.
Yeah.
So much so that also, I mean, I feel like we can't consider anything on our agenda, but like if any of us wanted to provide some kind of statement, wouldn't we be allowed to do that? Under the
You could
context of
provide like
decisions
a
that have already been
one-way
provided?
short statement, probably,
Yeah.
response, but not a discussion on it. Maybe Jamie can chime in, but I think the law does allow you for like brief responses,
Yeah.
providing information.
Jonathan, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
I'll make you feel better enough. Just very, very briefly, I will say that one of the considerations that had gone into that sliding scale aspect was that because while you are operating in a capacity of trying to be free with the operations you're doing, the vendors are making money, and the costs that we had, we're trying to figure out where to allocate those. And if there was somebody in the process who was making profit on the usage of the space, we were hoping to allocate it towards that. From what I remember, I say we, but this is what I remember from discussions of this thing. It could be that people in the board disagree with my summary of that statement. But so, but that's I think the thought process that might have been going towards that. So, but if you'd like to talk about that later, I'd be open to talking about that with you later, as I'm sure other people here would as well. So, I just didn't want to leave you entirely with like, and you said all of that and you got nothing. So.
Well, and I'd like to also mention that we have quite a bit of janitorial and cleaning costs for the community center. And we feel like it's really important to keep it clean. And so what we've been trying to do is figure out a way to help cover those costs. And so that's a lot of what we did. It's a new fee schedule. It's kind of complicated. I think we all thought it was a little complicated. And so I'm sure for you too, it was complicated. But we expect to keep looking at it over time. So your feedback is very helpful to us. So thanks for coming.
Hear me out.
I will also say, just from my understanding of the policy that we adopted, you mentioned sort of the idea of incorporating not-for-profit aspects, as well as folks that may just want to kind of use it almost like as a swap meet or like a sort of a, I don't want to call it yard sale, but if there is an event where people, the primary purpose is just to bring items to give away for free or to just give to people to declutter their apartments, and there wasn't money exchanging hands, then I think that you would probably go down a tier in terms of fee wise. And so I'll just throw that out there, someone might want to consider.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I know it was not on the agenda, but thank you for responding to me.
Yeah, I'll just add on, we appreciate you coming and providing feedback. It's all very useful to all of us as well as our employees. And in case you wanted to like go look at those other previous agendas, we do have a YouTube where we have our meetings recorded, which can be helpful sometimes. I use it all the time and try to remember like exactly how our discussion went and how we're feeling as a group, as a community. So thank you for coming and your participation, and hope to see more of you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment at this time? All right. With that, we'll move on to our discussion action items. We have item 4.1, resolution 2417.
All right, well, Sydney and Jamie mainly worked on this, but what I will say is that we do need to do this every 2 years. And so we update this every 2 years, and we looked at it again this year. And we added 2 new positions to the disclosure, who has to file a Form 700. That's maybe Sydney and Maya will be filing those. Mainly because they have influence and, involvement in district contracts and spending, compared to other employees who aren't at the more executive level. So that's why, based on the review that Sydney and Jamie did, it was determined that those 2 positions, assistant general manager and community programs director, do qualify under who needs to disclose. And so it's all the disclosure categories for both, and then everything else is the same in terms of myself and the board and Jamie's disclosures.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Is there any board discussion or conversation on this item?
I'll move approval.
I'll second with the question, have either you had to fill out one of the Form 700s before? I don't know, I'm saying you, assuming Maya is on Zoom, I don't know
No.
if she is.
No, not yet.
So much fun.
It's a rite of passage.
So true.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I view this as a really good sign for the district and more of our staff that are involved in high-level decision-making.
All right, thank you for those comments. So we have the motion from Toplid and the second from Brandt. Is there any public comment on this motion? I see no public comment on this motion, so I'll go to a vote. All those who are in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes. Now we can move on to item 4.2, resolution 2418.
All right, so this one, the 4.2 and 4.3 kind of go together. So what we're doing here is, based on the advice of our legal counsel, we are separating out our employment policies out of the district policy manual. The policy manual kind of evolved on its own over many years, and everything just got lumped in there over the time. It's been 7 years now, but it is a better practice to have the employee policies as a separate document. So Resolution 18 will remove our employment policies from the policy manual, and then Resolution 19 will adopt an interim employee handbook, which is just a copy paste of what was deleted from the policy manual. And then now in this fall, our staff and legal and our policy committee will go through our employee policies and make some of the updates that have already come up that need to happen. Like our jury duty policy, our bereavement leave policy. Those are just 2 examples that have come up recently that we need to update. So the interim employee handbook will then become, hopefully by the end of this fall, final version, but obviously can still be updated. But it's just called interim because we're just using the old policies, and we're going to be intentionally and actively making edits this fall. So that's what's being done.
I just want to add that Jamie and I discussed that the updates to the policy manual also include all the policies that have been approved through.
Yeah.
Well, through now.
Yeah, thank you, Sydney, for doing that. All of our policies are now in the policy manual.
So those are the additional.
Right, Director Freeman.
Or maybe it's just me being the silly software developer that I am, but can we open agenda item 4.3 and resolve it? Because I feel weird voting to remove the policy from the policy manual, not knowing yet whether or not we voted to add the employee manual.
Should go first. For like a minute, we won't have employee policies.
There's a minute where we wouldn't, but potentially a longer time if suddenly we get to that thing and everyone votes no.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, that's a good call to do the 19 first.
We'll move it.
Okay. So is that concept friendly with the rest of the board?
Yeah.
Okay. Since that is friendly with the entirety of the board, we will pause our discussion on 4.2 and move to 4.3, resolution 2419.
So this is just our current employee policies. But we will have some work ahead of us, policy committee, so look out for that.
All right, thank you. Director Freeman.
Is there either a policy or potentially something in this declaration that I've not fully processed that makes certain that the employee handbook, I guess, shall serve as the guiding document for like this will be actually becomes policy in some sense, like this is.
It is policy
yeah.
by the board approving it and, designating it as such, and
Okay,
having all these
great.
things in there. It is just as powerful as the previous version, just
Perfect. Okay.
organized it.
All right.
Okay.
And Jay, I'm sorry, Director Freeman, if I can just jump in, there is language in here that says that the interim employee handbook will serve as the guiding document for all district employees. One of the reasons that we're doing this is because the board of directors is not actually an employee of the district. And so these employee policies don't technically apply in the same way to the board as they do to district employees. And so it's pretty common practice to have board policies separate from any employee policies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item at the moment? All right, I see no board questions. Is there any public comment on this item? I see no public comment on this item. Is there a motion on this resolution 2419?
I'll move approval.
All right, we have the motion by Brandt and the second by Scholes. Is there any public comment on this motion? I see no public comment on this motion, so I'll go to a vote. All those who are in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes. And now we will return to item 4.2, resolution 2418.
This is just getting our policy man in. All the things that have been added in here you've approved before, so don't feel like you're approving anything new today, just the new full document now altogether.
All right, thank you. Is there any board questions at this time? All right, I'll go to the public. Is there any public comment or questions on this item? I see none. Is there any board discussion or commentary on this item?
I'll move to adopt the updates to the policy manual.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have the motion by Brandt and the second by Topliff. Is there any public comment on this motion? I see none, so I'll go to a vote. All those who are in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes. Now we will continue to item 4.4, appointment of real property negotiators for 970 and 976 Embarcadero Del Mar.
I'm going to be recusing myself due to my employment with the County of Santa Barbara Board of Supervisors.
Okay, and we will let you know when completed with this item.
So the idea here of appointing Sydney, our assistant general manager, to this group is that, we want to, that's part of the reason we did the restructuring to create this position was to, create fail safes and, increase the knowledge and involvement of what's going on at the district at some of these bigger projects. And we did have our previous assistant general manager when we had that position before on this group. So it was natural to now that we have another assistant general manager to add them to this group. And Sydney did join the meeting today. We had one real property negotiation meeting today. So she has gotten off to a good start and we'll move forward from there. That's the proposal, is to just go back to having the assistant GM in this group like before.
Right, thank you. Is there any board questions this time? Is there any public comment on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the board. I'll start off with just comment of support. I'm really happy that we're adding another member to our property negotiation team. I think it's really smart to have our AGM in this role. I also believe very strongly in having the extra fail safes, as you mentioned. I think that's a really strong policy that we need to look at in other locations for this board, just to make sure that we have, the opportunity for people to be absent when they need to, for whatever the reason is, short or long. So I'm really glad that we're taking this step forward, and I'll be supporting this item.
I'll move approval.
Okay.
I will second. We kind of have to. The agenda says that we will appoint.
I
Does not
know.
we will consider.
All right, we have the motion by Topliff and the second by Freeman. Is there any public comment on this motion? I see no public. I hear no public comment on this motion. So I'll go to a vote. All those who are in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes. All right, and now we will move on to section 5, reports. We have item 5.1, reports from members of the board. Are there any reports from board members at this time?
I don't know if getting a wonderful book of Isla Vista photography from one of our fellow long-term residents counts, but check out Aaron's book.
Yes, good report. All right, I'll move on to our second reports from standing and ad hoc committees.
We have a big parking committee meeting tomorrow
We got rescheduled from last week, so.
What time is it?
at 7.
7.
We're gonna be unveiling, well, it's already public, but the draft action plan for the parking set is on there.
Will it be here in community center?
All right, and report from district council.
Nothing new to report. I've been working with Jonathan and Sydney on the parking action plan as well. Working with Sydney, getting her up to speed on a few things, and everything's been going really well.
All right, thank you for that update and report from our general manager and staff.
I do not have a report today. I just got back from vacation last night, and today has been actually packed on lots of different meetings on parking and our property negotiations. So I will have a better report for you in 2 weeks, but things are generally good. I think everything worked smoothly while I was gone last week.
Perfect. Well, that concludes our 5th section reports, and now we'll move into closed session. Council, can you call us into closed session?
Yes, thank you. So the board will convene in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1 to discuss the general manager evaluation. And the board will meet in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Conference with real property negotiators regarding 970 and 976 Embarcadero Del Mar, Isla Vista, as well as the Pardal Solar Lot. Agency negotiators are Marcos Aguilar, board president, Carrie Topliff, vice president, Jay Freeman, board member, Bob Geis, consultant, Jonathan Aboud, general manager, and myself as district counsel. The negotiating parties are the Isla Vista Community Services District and the County of Santa Barbara, and under negotiation are the price and terms of payment.
All right, Director Brandt.
I will be participating in item 6.1 and recusing myself from item 6.2.
All right, thank you.
Do you have a preference on what we do first?
6.1. Unless there's a staff preference otherwise. No.
so much.
Like, I'm up until 2 in the morning, I'm like, "Oh," my brain just won't turn off.
They were back on the.
Take a little melatonin tonight.
All right. Council, can you read us out of closed session?
Oh,
Oop,
we can't hear you, my
Jamie,
friend.
1 second. I think you're muted for some reason.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I thought it was on our end.
So the board met in closed session under Government Code Section 5457B1 to discuss the general manager evaluation. No reportable action taken. And the board met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956 on the 970 and 976 Embarcadero Del Mar properties. The agency negotiators were Marcos Aguilar, the board president, Carrie Topliff, vice president, Jay Freeman, board member, Bob Geis, consultant, Jonathan Aboud, general manager, and myself as district counsel. The negotiating parties were Isla Vista Community Services District and the County of Santa Barbara. Under negotiation was the price and terms of payment. Direction was provided to staff on that item, but no reportable action taken.
All right, thank you. And with that, we will move to our 7th item, our future meeting dates and future agenda items. The next regular meeting of the board of directors will take place on September 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m. on Zoom and at the community room 970 Embarcadero Del Mar. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting.
Bravo, bravo.
Just so you guys know, during the whole closed session, I was getting.
Wait, 1 second.
Oh.
Did you actually?
Oh, oops. I always do this. I just don't know.
Bye, Jamie.